Hi there, I'm Natasha. This is my channel, Always Be Crafting. Today is Saturday. It is June, gosh, what is it, the 7th? Yes, I believe it is the 7th. You know what? We haven't checked the calendar in a while. I feel like now's a really appropriate time to check the calendar, and I have not switched the calendar to June. So here, let's look at May. Look at these Adoroscopes by Paul Castle. So I'll read you Taurus because I don't think I ever read you Taurus from May, and it's still, I think it's still Taurus. I don't think we've switched. No, it's already Gemini. I'll read you Taurus in case you were a Taurus last month. Taurus, steady as the earth below, in tranquil pastures they quietly grow. A steadfast bull, sorry, my eyes are very bleary, who stands their ground with elegant strength most renowned. In every bloom, in every sigh, Taurus finds beauty none can deny. Oh, that's beautiful. My mom was a Taurus. That's really beautiful. All right, we're switching it. It's June. Gemini. Oh, that's my son, and my father was also Gemini. Watch out for those Geminis. You guys are feisty. All right. Twins of whimsy, a dance so light, souls entwined like day and night, with words that flutter like wings in air. Great tales of wonder they freely share, split in two, straight through the heart. In Gemini's story, both sides take part. I like that. That's really cute. So there's Gemini. All right, all you Geminis, happy birth. Happy birth season. Happy season to you. Yes, and it is the 7th of June. So what can I tell you about today? I am dealing with allergies. My eyes are very blurry. I am looking at the camera or my phone because I record on a phone, and it is all very blurry. It is just now 9 o'clock on this Saturday morning, and I have been up since around 7 o'clock. So I've been up for 2 hours. So the blurry is all allergy related, not sleep related. Because like I said, I've been up for 2 hours, and I had to do a lot of stuff medical related upstairs for my son. And then I came down, and my first task was to start cleaning because, well, if you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. I have been a hot mess express for the last few months. You know what? I feel like I should say for the last few years. And then I feel like, well, maybe my whole life is hot mess express. And then I should say, you know what? I think I just need to recognize that I'm a very creative soul, and I'm not neurotypical. I'm neurospicy. And that neurospiciness is more comfortable in chaos. So yes, everything is sort of on display at all times. And I kind of flit from project to project, and that is somewhat maddening and also somewhat grounding for me. But my space was chaotic, and I need to vacuum, and I need to sort things out. And I had a large box at the bottom of my basement stairs. So here is my basement craft space, and it is a shared space, not just because it is the entrance to the home because we come in through the garage. Yes, we welcome guests through the front door, but usually when we come home, we don't use the front door, we use the garage. So we come in, and everything comes through and out and in and out and in through this space. So down the stairs, up the stairs, everything sort of collects in my craft zone. So it is a landing zone, not just for dog hair and debris, but socks and dirty clothes that get tossed off along the way, and dust and dried leaves from outside, and, just random bits of, junk mail gets tossed sometimes. It's just randomness that falls out. Receipts fall out of pockets. It's all sorts of randomness happens. And, but also my son loves the basement. He loves it down here. It's like his little miniature teenage man cave. And every day after school, he loves to decompress down here in the little man cave. He doesn't spend all day down here, but he spends at least a couple hours every day down here. And so there's a couch on the other side of the room. And then he also loves to do model figures, like action figures where he builds them himself. And so he uses my desk that's just to my right, to your left, I guess. And so there's always like little bits of plastic, little, you know, where you've clipped things apart. And then there's the boxes. He's terrible at putting his boxes into recycling. So then I'm always picking up things and little bits of paper from where the stickers and the decals have come apart. And then sometimes I don't know what's trash and what's not trash from him. So sometimes I let things stick around a little longer because he hasn't cleaned up. And then I'm like, can I clean this up? I'm not sure. And then I'm chaotic because I cut fabric and then fabric falls on the floor and I'm like the Swedish chef of sewing. I'm like, bloop, 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 bloop. So yeah, it needed to be cleaned. But I had this big giant box at the bottom of my stairs where everything I opened package wise, like all the fabric that's come in the last couple of weeks, I just kept like, I don't have time to process new fabric. I was tossing it in the box. It was a giant box. I was like, okay, I have to handle this. So I got these little clearer boxes at Costco. And I said, all right, I'm going to sort the fabric because I know I have like the new Tula stuff in there. And I have some new Anna Maria in there. And I have some new Ruby Star in there. And I'm going to sort them. And I'm going to kind of like do a mini process on them because some things are going like into their homes and some things are not going into their homes. And like up here, this is the Tula Chaos. Like Tula needs more than one shelf because she's busting out of her one shelf. And then down here is the Ruby Star shelf and it's busting out already. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to redo my shelves so Tula can get more space because all of the new Tula came in and there's more Tula coming because I got a problem. And there's no room for more Tula and there's no room for more Ruby Star. So I got problems. So I got boxes and I'm trying to organize things and I'm trying to keep things together and I'm just trying to be smart. I've been talking for 7 minutes. So now what am I doing? Because on Saturdays I sew. So where's the sewing? I don't know what to do. I'm at a crossroads. I think what I need to do, because I need to focus on my quilt for the Festival of Quilts, because the deadline to apply to that is coming up like in the next couple of days. I've taken a photograph of my flimsy, my quilt top, my unquilted quilt top. So I can submit that photo with my application because it's not yet quilted. Because my challenge right now is the batting I got, I'm using like an extra lofty batting, or I'm hoping to use an extra lofty batting for my quilt because everything I'm reading about show quilts is that they tend to show better with an extra lofty batting. But I never use extra lofty batting. I always use like a very soft cotton or a bamboo cotton blend. And but for showing, you're supposed to use something thicker so the quilting pops, I guess. And I'm like, am I going to be influenced by what some people say? Because really there are no rules, right? I mean, there's always rules, but rules are, everything's a construct, right? Everything is human made in this world, in this quilty world. All these rules were made by people and people are fallible. So therefore, all the rules are fallible and I don't have to follow them. I can do whatever I want because I'm not expecting to win any awards. Like I'm not entering this Festival of Quilts to win any awards. I'm doing this because I want to bring my mom's work to the Festival of Quilts because that's not something she got to do in her lifetime. That's the whole point. That being said, I want to do it to the best of my ability. So I have 2 mini quilts that I've done in the last 2 weeks. You've seen me do them. You saw me do it last week with that. I used Tula pink fabric on that mystery quilt, the mystery 5-0 quilt from last week. I have that quilt top, flimsy if you will. And I have the one from the week before that I was doing, that I had done from Teresa Coates' pattern. I'm blanking on the name all of a sudden, her Lucid pattern. So I think if I use those as my tests for the loftiness, for the lofty batting, and test out quilting those two, I can get a better feel. So last night, I made the homemade basting spray because I was having trouble using safety pins to baste that extra thick lofty batting in my quilt sandwich. That was the trouble I was having this week. That was a lot of talking. So I think what I need to do, yes, I know what I need to do now that I've cleared some space. I know that what I need to do is I need to vacuum so I don't step on anything weird and drive my brain insane. I'm going to quickly vacuum. I set up a little table, a little card table. I am going to use my spray baste. Going to give it a try. I am going to baste together the mystery quilt from last week, the Mystery 5.0 that I used with the Tula Pink fabric, and I think it came out really cute. But I have nothing else to do with that quilt top, so why not? Why not just do it? And I will do it on the Juki here, off the quilt frame. I will do that because I'm just testing out the settings. That way I don't have the Juki on the frame. I can set up, I can make sure I like its tension. I can play with all the things. I can play with free motion. I can play with straight line quilting. I can test it where everything is easy access here in my safe space. So I'll be testing out the quilting spray, the basting spray, the homemade basting spray I made last night. I'll link the recipe below. Or not the recipe, I'll link the blog. I'll link away so you can get to the blog, because it's not fair for me to give away the recipe because it's not my recipe. And it's not fair for me to give it away, right? So I'll link away for you to go in and get it, have access to it if you want to get it. And I will, that is what I need to do. That's what I'm going to do. And that way I have access to my sewing machine easily. And then I will move on to the lucid quilt, because in my mind, it'd be really cool to use the lucid quilt on the frame, because I said that last week. That was my goal, was to test the quilting frame on the lucid quilt. So I'm still doing that. And then finally get to the big quilt. And then in that way, yes, I'm talking this through. In that way, I will have finally, and I can still, again, enter the competition, enter the Festival of Quilts with the photograph of the quilt top unquilted. I just have to make sure I take measurements before I send in the application. And then I don't have to worry about it. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, I've talked it through. Thank you for listening to me talk it through. And let us move on to basting spray. All right? Okay, here we go. Wish me luck, because I need all the luck. Bye. back. All right, so you saw lots of mistakes, lots of bad choices. If you were paying attention, maybe you weren't paying attention, but I'm going to point out my mistakes or bad choices for those who were not paying attention. So first I laid down my backing fabric and I sprayed it liberally, maybe a little bit too liberally, with the basting spray. And then I put on the thick batting. Remember, it's really high loft batting. And then what I should have done, which I did not do immediately, what I should have done was iron the backing fabric immediately to the batting so it could, stick together. But I didn't. I just laid the batting on and then I laid the front piece on because I was thinking in my mind, oh, I need to make sure I cut it out. That's what I was focused on, was getting it to the right size. And then I put the flimsy, the quilt top on top. And of course I sprayed more homemade basting spray on top of the thick batting and then put the top on. And then finally, after everything was cut out, I started using my iron to adhere everything, to dry up that homemade basting spray and get it to stick. The quilt top started sticking pretty decently to the batting, but the heat was not penetrating enough through the batting to the backing. So I had to flip it. And I think I had just oversaturated the back, and the back never really stuck at all. Now, is it just because I used too much basting spray? Is it because I had not ironed it immediately? Who's to say? But at that point, I thought, well, it's a small piece. I could pin it, or I could just use a basting stitch on my sewing machine and go around the entire thing in a big box and baste it in place. I chose that. I chose to just put a big box around it. It was not perfect, and I had to undo some stitches at the end because of fabric that had shifted. And I chose that as the path of least resistance, I guess. I figured it was going to be easier to pull out a few rows of stitches than take the time to pin it. I don't know that it was actually easier. I think pinning it possibly would have taken less time, but it might have been 6 of one, half dozen of the other at the end of the day. Anyways, that's what I chose to do. And then I put on my walking foot because I went to lower my feed dogs and I looked in my little pouch and I realized, oh wait, I don't have the free motion foot. I've ordered the free motion foot, but my Juki did not come equipped with the free motion foot. It came with a walking foot and a regular foot. Since then, I have ordered a free motion foot. Actually, I guess I ordered a ruler foot, but I think that can do the same thing as a free motion foot. A ruler foot and a free motion foot, I think, are the same thing. Fingers crossed they're the same thing, because that's what's coming. That's what's coming to me. And what else did I order? Oh, I ordered a silicone foot. So those are in transit. I think they're due here on Tuesday. I think that's what the shipping notice said. Monday or Tuesday, I think, of this coming week. So I couldn't actually practice the free motion. So that was out. So I thought, well, I guess I'm using the walking foot and I'll just put down straight lines, because ultimately I want to see how the high loft batting works. This is what I can say. Quilting on the Juki with the walking foot is fine, but I prefer quilting on my Pfaff Quilter Select way more. It is a much more enjoyable experience on my Quilter Select. The only thing I think the Juki has right now is being able to cut the threads with the foot pedal. Now, is that something I can do on my Quilter Select that I just haven't learned how to do? I'm going to look in the manual, because it's very possible that I can cut the threads with my foot pedal, and I just never learned how because I didn't read my manual properly, or I learned about it and then just never practiced it. Okay? So I really enjoy that on the Juki. but it's very sensitive. And sometimes I accidentally cut the threads before I'm supposed to cut my threads. That being said, it is one of my favorite features. I do not enjoy having such a low foot. Like, it does not raise high enough, especially for this high loft batting. I could not get the foot to raise higher, so it was like shoving it underneath. That was not fun. The walking foot is fine, but the faff comes with IDT, which is, what is IDT? It's basically an internal automatic walking foot. And that's what I love about the faff sewing machines, is that it's automatic. And I really love quilting on my faff machine. So I just didn't enjoy it as much. I feel like, yes, the Juki is fast, but my Faff Quilter Select is fast also. So as far as the quilting experience goes, right now my Faff is winning on the quilting experience for straight lines. And I have done free motion on my Faff, and I really enjoy it. And the whole point of the Juki, though, was to put on the frame, right? So if I'm going to sit at a machine and quilt, I think I'm going to do it at my Faff. But the Juki was purchased to put on the frame and to sew bags that are like heavy-duty bags, so I don't have to constantly, you know, deal with the computerized machine that overthinks things. So I'm glad I got the Juki. But for quilting, personally, because I have the Faff, I'm going to use the Faff for quilting in the future. If I'm sitting down and quilting, I'm going to do it at my Faff. But I can see why people like to use the high loft for show quilts, because look how those quilting lines pop. They really, really pop. So I can see the appeal. Because look. They really pop. So I guess now I have to, I guess now is the time where I'm going to use my batting spray again. I'm going to put down fabric. I'm going to put down batting, and I'm going to use my iron right away to attach the batting to the backing and see if that makes a difference. I'm gonna have to cut my batting bigger, because the frame needs like a bigger piece to hold on to. Your backing has to be extra big, or you have to put like leaders and enders kind of thing, toppers and bottoms. I don't remember what they're called. I think they're leaders and enders, but or is that just the phrase used for when you're sewing, you know, when you're quickly sewing? But a top to put on the frame to attach it, and a bottom to attach it, and then your fabric in the middle so you can sew. But if I can't free motion on the Juki, it's kind of like I can't do it on the frame. I can't free motion on it yet. So does it make sense to put it on the frame until I get the free motion foot? So there we are. That's where we are right now. And I kind of don't want to put it on the frame until I get the free motion foot so I can test the free motion foot. Yeah. What should I do with this? You know me, I love making bags. And this is just basically like a baby quilt size, but I don't have any babies to give it to. What do? Thoughts on a postcard? It's almost too big to be a pillow, though I could make a giant floor pillow. I could, or I could I make a giant bag? Could I fold it in half and make that's almost too skinny to be a bag. A triangle bag? Let's see. What's it look like as a triangle? Is there any thoughts? One of those, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about it. What to do with this gigantic quilt block. Some people, I think, have made just pillows out of their thing, or they've added it to other quilts. But now that I've quilted it, I think it either has to become a giant pillow or something else. If you have other ideas, I'd love to hear them. What am I going to do? Do I even bother basting the lucid quilt onto material if I haven't even had a chance to try out my foot, the other foot? I feel like I should do other things. Ugh, I'm lost. All right. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out, and I'll take you along for the ride. Thanks for being here. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're finding things to do. I hope you're finding creative solutions to your problems. I'm going to find a creative solution to this problem, but I'm probably going to have to drink some water because these allergies are killing my brain, and my brain is not synapsing. My synapses are not synapsing. All right. Have a great day. If I don't see you again, I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Take care.